Here in Anderson Lake County Park, there's plenty of opportunities for birding. Take this tree, for example. To a passerby, it might just look like an old dead tree, who cares? But to a bird, say like a black phoebe, this tree is a wonderful place to perch upon and look out for flies and other flying insects. So here we have a ground squirrel hole. I can tell because the shape of the burrow, and also there's some ground squirrel scat right here at the entrance. The cool thing about ground squirrels is that they create habitat for other wildlife. So they have really good limbs for digging and clawing and moving dirt. Some other creatures, not so much, even though they do depend on burrows. So some examples are salamanders, snakes, and sometimes even burrowing owls. So here I found another dead tree, and it has some nice cavities in it. So a dead tree like this can have many different functions for the birds that live in this area. For example, a dead tree like this might make a great granary for an acorn woodpecker, a place for it to store its acorns. And those divots, those crevices they create, then go on to get bigger and bigger, and eventually they get pretty large, and animals, birds like the oak titmouse might be able to nest in there because they are cavity nesters. Whenever you're in a park like this, it's easy to miss those things that are just out of sight.
So I'm shaking the coastline oak to see what kind of insects I can find, because when you look at the tree you don't see much, but there are actually many different insects that live on the tree. Not just inside galls, but there are many different free-living organisms, like these winter ants or small honeypot ants. They're foraging on the tree looking for food. And then there are all sorts of tiny moving dots. Okay, we can use a macro lens to get a bit closer and take a closer look at them. But this is what makes the coast live oak so wonderful, because there's so many insects that can use it. So you can see that this moss is bright and green because the moss turns kind of grayish green when it's very dry. This one probably got some good dew, morning dew or something, and it's bright green. Look at that. It's very good. And I think these might be two different species here. I mean, there are very few moss experts, unfortunately. Not too many people can identify them. But to me, they look different. It might be the same one. There's an elongated one, and then this one looks more like stars. And what I'll do is I'll take some photos, and hopefully someone who knows moss will be able to help us identify them. Oh, and once you start looking, you find other things. There's a tiny mite here, tiny white mite walking on this leaf. So the leaf litter is an incredible habitat for many different invertebrates. And then this is actually an oak gall. Looks like a little ball, but this is the live oak bud gall. They're very hard like this, and they will drop, here's another one, from the tree at some point. They didn't hatch yet, so this is probably part of the natural life cycle.
So here's an example of some moss that hasn't received enough of the moisture in the air or rain. You can see that it's already starting to dry out. In fact, there's a very dry patch right there.
But the other thing that is really interesting here are the different lichens you could find on this Buckeye. So there are at least two different kinds. Oh, and more. These are like really cute. They look like a little alien city or something.
Right.
How cool it is. So this is one species. There's a different one right here. Look at that. Through the magnifying glass on my macro lens, you could see the little details here. Isn't that incredible? Can get even closer. I think these are super cute. And then here's a different kind, completely different. So I'm looking under a little log, just a tiny log here in the field. And the first thing I saw was these two beautiful slender salamanders. This is called California slender salamander. They're very small. Look at that compared to my hand.
Yeah.
They're really tiny creatures. They kind of look like a worm with eyes and legs. Tiny, tiny legs. This is actually a very long individual, the longer one. It was really large for this species. And then, but that's the only thing. Not the only thing, sorry. There is a young Jerusalem cricket right here. Ooh, that's its butt. Come out, please. Gently. Okay, so this is a Jerusalem cricket.
Mm-hmm.
And they can get very large. It's also called potato bug and other things. And then there are lots of ants here. This is called banana cream pie ant or odorous house ant. It's one of our native ants that you might actually get in your kitchen as well. It's a pretty cool species. And then there's a wood louse. Yeah, there's one here. And another one there. Okay. And they all share this space. Oh, and a spider, look at that. It's a wolf spider. And it's gone.